Good morning. I'm Kevin O'Connor, and welcome back to Ask This Old House, where your letters and your emails keep pouring in, and we love it because they allow us to tackle all sorts of projects, from the most basic to the most complex. And today, we are going to tackle one of each. A little later on, Tom Silva's going to be working with a homeowner, and he's going to show her how to transform her dingy-looking bathroom floor into something that looks brand new. And he's going to do it by using nothing more than a little elbow grease. But first, Richard Chathui is going to show us the latest thinking and most modern technology in the heating and cooling world. Good morning, Richard.
Well, how are you?
All right, so for years you've been telling us how Americans are not happy with their forced air system. And sure enough, we've got another unsatisfied customer.
They're either too noisy, too dusty, too drafty. They're just plain uncomfortable. And if the ductwork was done correctly or proper zoning, maybe it wouldn't be the case.
So do you have a solution for us?
I do. An ingenious system. We've never shown it before. A zoning system for any forced hot air system. And to show you, it means a little road trip. San Diego. This beautiful city is right in the corner of our country. Its location on the shores of the Pacific make it a haven for beachgoers and surfers. And it's just a few miles from the Mexican border, lending San Diego a little spice. We're in the San Diego neighborhood of Rancho Penasquitos, and it is a beautiful place. Terrific views of the canyon over here, palm trees all around, a cool breeze, and plenty of sun. I can see why people want to live here in Southern California. But plenty of sun can also mean plenty of heat in a house like this. So, Karen, how long have you guys been here?
We moved in 1992.
Well, it is a beautiful place. I love it.
Well, thank you. The biggest problem I have, though, and it's something we've had ever since we moved into the house, is that the upstairs of the house gets substantially warmer than downstairs.
It's such a common complaint. We often hear about it. It's called the chimney effect. Any of the heat you make down here wants to come right up through this open stairway and settle right at the top floor.
Well, come on in here. This is the hottest room of the house.
I can see that. Actually, no, I can feel that. You can actually feel all the solar gain coming in here. It really is warmer here. Well, the system you have in this house is a gas-fired furnace. It also has air conditioning. There's ductwork inside the walls and ceilings, and every single room has a register like this. But you only have one thermostat, right?
Yeah, downstairs.
So what do you set it for?
Usually about 72 degrees.
Okay. So as soon as that thermostat feels 72, it shuts that system off. It doesn't feel all the solar gain up here. How hot does it get up here?
We actually got a thermometer last weekend and put it in the room. It was 87 degrees up here while it was 72 downstairs.
That is not comfortable.
No.
Now, normally, the way we'd go after this would be to put in motorized zone dampers. And that means you might have to open up a wall or a ceiling, get into the ductwork, and put a motorized damper that could close off the ducts to the downstairs. So all the cooling power could come up here to the second floor. That means a two-zone system.
I don't know that I like the idea of opening up the ceilings and walls.
Well, that's the way we normally do it. I'm excited to show you some new technology today, which means we can give you a zone in every single room without opening up the walls.
Oh, now that would be wonderful.
So here in the garage is your furnace, Karen. The return air comes back from the building right here and comes up through the furnace. It's gas-fired, so here's the gas pipe, and that'll heat the air in the winter. Now, in the summer, we want to cool the air. So up inside this plenum is a cooling coil. You can see the refrigerant lines right here. Now, if we had done those motorized dampers I was talking about, I probably would have to cut into this soffit right here and into this ductwork and put one damper over here and another one over here. We're doing a different system, and I'm no expert at that, but I brought one. Chef Schultz, how are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Now, I haven't seen this before, but you've done a few of these, I
I've
hope?
done about 400 or 500 of them.
I would call him an expert.
Yeah.
Now, the key to it is this pneumatic damper.
Okay. Boy, this looks just like a deflated beach ball.
Absolutely. That's going to go inside.
Now, the damper goes inside the ductwork,
Okay.
and then as it's fully deflated as it is now, it allows the air to pass into the room, giving you air conditioning or heating, getting to the temperature that you
Okay.
want.
Well, I can see that happening. It would all come out here.
Exactly. And then once the room reaches the temperature of the comfort zone that you set, the damper will fully inflate, sealing the ductwork.
So there'll be an air pump that's going to inflate this. I'll be the air pump.
Okay.
And you can see.
Oh, yeah, look at that. That is inflating.
Once it's fully inflated, it completely seals the duct, allowing no air to pass into the room.
Well, let's test that out. That's pretty solid in there.
Exactly.
Now, at each one of the registers in the house, we're going to install one of these pneumatic dampers. And they have to be supplied by these air tubes. They're going to run from the dampers back all the way to the furnace area. How are you going to run these tubes?
We run them through the ductwork.
Through the ductwork.
Let me show you what I've done. We've cut a temporary hole inside the furnace, to which we've attached a takeoff. If you can hand me the flex tubing, we attach this to the takeoff, which the other end is attached to a suction fan, which will depressurize the ductwork, allowing us to run the tube through the ductwork. What we're going to do is run one tube at a time through the ductwork. In order to do that, we must seal the rest of the registers in the house except for the one duct we're working on. To do that, we use a piece of foam that's been cut to size to each register. We put that foam inside of a plastic bag, push it up inside the register, seal the end of the ductwork, and now this duct has been sealed. Now that we've sealed all the registers or ducts with the foam and the plastic, and we've attached our suction fan at the furnace, we've created a suction or reverse pressure throughout the duct system in the house. This is currently the only register open. As you can see with the suction reverse pressure,
So the air's going the opposite way, back towards the furnace.
it's going from the register to the furnace.
All right, so how do you fish it?
In order to get the pneumatic tubing from the furnace to the register, we're going to actually send a fishing line from the register to the furnace. To get the line there, we use a plastic parachute made out of a plastic shopping bag.
Shopping bag. I mean, this looks like the old parachute on my Army guys, my little paratroopers, and that's what you're going to put down the duct.
Exactly.
I got to see this.
With that suction, you feed it inside the ductwork, and it pulls it right back to the furnace.
Look at that. Cool.
Now the parachute is in the flex duct. We're going to attach it from the takeoff
Now, there it is.
and pull our parachute out.
Good.
At this point, we unattach the parachute from the connector by unscrewing it.
And here's our new tube.
We've attached the tube to the connector. And now we're ready to pull the tube back to the register. All right, Richard, start sending me the tube.
Feeding it to you.
And I'm using a fishing rod to pull that fishing line. Now that we've got the pneumatic tubing at the register, we disconnect it. Wrap the tube around our foam block. Push it back in and seal this duct up. Now we can move to the next register. Now we're ready to install our damper. We've secured the pneumatic tubing to the damper here. Then we're going to slide the damper into the ductwork. In order to secure the damper in a proper position, we've attached it to this metal strap. Once the damper is in a proper position, we will attach the strap inside the register with 2 screws. One down, 12 to go.
So have we got all of our air tubes run, Jeff?
Not quite, Rich. I have to plug one more into the manifold.
How many tappings are there on the manifold?
There are 24 available.
So we could have 24 zones. How many are we using?
We use 13.
All right. Now, this manifold is really a distribution point to run to each of our pneumatic dampers up inside the building. If we inflate the damper, we close off the air from going into the room. And if we deflate it, we allow the air into that zone.
Exactly, and that's a function of these 2 clear tubes that go over to our air pump power supply, which has an actual pump that has pressure and vacuum to inflate or deflate individual dampers.
So we ready to go?
We're ready to go.
Good. Now, Jeff is just installing the grill in the master bedroom. With that, we have all 13 pneumatic dampers installed and all the grills back in place. Now it's time to control the whole system. In every room, we're going to have one of these, a smart controller. It's a wireless battery-operated sensor that can mount on the wall like this. What's nice is we don't have to run any wires back anywhere. We can put it here, or we can put it right on a bureau like that. So this is going to give temperature feedback to the main display downstairs.
Now, is this how I control the temperature in each room?
It's actually how you can override the temperature. Say it was set for 76 and you wanted it cooler. You can move it to 72, and it would maintain that temperature in this room temporarily. But the real control is done down at the main display downstairs. Your main display is right down here on the first floor, and Jeff has got the whole building configured. You can see on the screen right here, there's the 13 rooms are already in there. And we wouldn't want you to have to go around to 13 different clock thermostats and set the time and the temperature. So we really can configure any group we want together down here.
Wonderful. So if I wanted to, I could put my sewing room upstairs with, say, the family room and the kitchen downstairs?
You certainly can. We'll just choose the rooms you want, your sewing, your kitchen, and your family room, and that now becomes the zone you want, and it's configured as a zone.
And that's really the unique thing about this system. Normally with zoning, we're limited by the way the ductwork was originally done by the first installer. We could never have a room way up there working on the same zone as one down here on the first floor.
For the zone that you've created, this is where you set your temperature range, your comfort zone. So at 77 degrees, you would start cooling. At 70 degrees, you would start heating.
And that's easily adjustable.
Up and down by individual degrees. Then the other option you have is the away mode. If you're going to leave home with one button push, you can choose the option to program a time and date for your return.
And this is all automatic.
Automatic.
That is cool. Jeff, thanks for your good work.
Thanks.
Really an ingenious system. I've never seen anything like that before.
It is a brilliant solution for so many of these hot air systems that are out there.
And a little high-tech, but also a little low-tech. I mean, the guy had a fishing pole and a toy parachute.
What's not to like about a little fishing?
So how much does that system cost?
That one was between $5,000 and $6,000 plus install.
And have you checked in on the homeowners? Do they like it? Are they comfortable?
They love it. They report that it's perfect temperature in every single room, but what surprised them is that they've been able to cool that building without running the air conditioner outside. They're using just the fan. Some of that hot air up in that bedroom, 87 degrees, comes back to the air conditioner, mixes with the cool air downstairs,
Right.
but doesn't run the condenser, and just distributes it back to the building.
So no condenser, just using the fan to balance the air throughout the house.
right.
So you get more comfort, and in this case, probably some cost savings.
Absolutely.
All right, so pretty good. We'll have to keep an eye on the system. Thank you, Richard.
Guys, I'm actually worried about this one. It's so simple, I think you might get it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's plastic.
No chance.
Thank you.
It's curved with an opening in the front. What is it?
That's it?
That's it.
That's all you got.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
You know?
I tell you, our family has a long line of multiple chins.
Really?
My father had like 6 or 7 of them. My grandfather had like 8 of them.
Yeah.
I did not, Mabel. She had so many chins by the end. She actually looked a bit like a turkey. You know. So I decided to do something about it. You know, and I found this online. This is Chins of Steel.
Yeah.
Every morning I go right here. I hook a couple of 5-pound weights right here.
Oh.
And you just do about 12 minutes.
12 minutes?
12 minutes. Look at this. Look at the difference.
Yeah.
Huh?
It's
getting bigger.
You look like nobody in your face.
That's right. I look adopted.
Is there any chance you guys have been using it as sort of like a trough?
No, I
to
didn't think
use
about that.
possibly, you know? Because I'm not. Anyway. No, unfortunately, Richard, you are wrong because I just saw this one in France.
Yes.
At the Tour.
De France?
Oh, Tour de France, absolutely. You know, in cycling, it is all about aerodynamics.
Absolutely.
That's why these guys shave their legs and they wear
I like the
all
tight
that
pants.
stuff. You would.
No.
But they've got those crazy helmets. It's all about that millimeter
Yeah,
of a second.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this is the newest helmet that you actually put on.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah. It's got a little visor right here to
Even
keep the
looks
sun.
fast, Kevin.
Oh, yeah, you're not going to
Right?
get sunburned.
And so your team can draft behind you, but it sends this Venturi Bernoulli effect.
the Bernoulli effect,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, to either
yeah.
side. And all the other guys are turbulent. Go left.
so now they can't draft.
Oh, absolutely.
Wonderful.
You know, the funny thing is, it's not legal yet, but then again, neither is it doping.
You know. It's really not. This is actually something. This is actually called a man yoke.
Manual.
Yeah, and I actually have a few of these on the job site.
I'm actually uncomfortable now.
It's not all here. There's a couple of chains that are missing.
Yeah.
But let's say I've got a load of lumber down back, and I've got to bring it up to the front of the house, or even drag it up onto the roof. Hook up my chains.
Oh, yeah.
Drag it, walk up the chains. Climb up the ladder. I can bring a whole lift of shingles up on the roof just by dragging this up the ladder.
Man,
I
you're...
think it makes a lot of sense, Tom.
Obviously, for the new guy on the crew, right? Well, you were wrong again, and maybe because I didn't tell you what it goes with. It goes with a wheelbarrow. Now, a normal wheelbarrow, when you dump it, it spills all over the place. Okay? This is a funnel for your wheelbarrow. Using these 4 clips, if you put it on a wheelbarrow, you can control where you point. It makes it easy to pour concrete into a tight space or even stone into a bucket.
Hey, I like it. Now, here's a rarity for us. Today's job's going to take place in a bathroom, and Richard's not even involved.
Okay, Tom, so here's why I wrote you. About a year and a half ago when I moved in here, I noticed that the grout was rather dingy.
Yeah.
So I got one of these.
A marker?
It's a grout and tile marker, actually. So
How'd that work for you?
it didn't work out very well. Basically, what you do is it's like a magic marker, and you paint over the grout. But as you can see, if you look over here, my test area, it's rather sloppy.
Yeah.
So I wasn't happy with the way it came
Okay.
out. And then when I looked closer at the floor, the darker areas that I thought were stained were really just missing
Oh,
grout.
voids, yeah. Yeah, well, let me take a look. I can see that there is grout missing. You actually have some loose grout. That will all have to come out. And on the rest of the floor, where the grout is nice and tight, we'll scrape off some of that and re-grout the entire floor.
Okay.
All right, Leila, there's no two ways about it. We've got some grunt work ahead of us. So I brought in some tools. This one right here is a triangular shape, and it's actually a carbide tip blade on the end of a handle here that we can scrape the grout in the corner like that. Try to scrape it out. Here's another one here. This is carbide, and that could go in there and scrape the grout out too. I actually have one here that's a little bit shorter. Might be a little bit easier to use. And if this doesn't work, we're actually going to use a utility knife. So, you ready to start?
Yep.
Let's try the triangular one first. Let's just put it on there and scrape back and forth. See how it works.
Now, what happens if I scratch the tile?
You don't want to scratch the tile, so be very careful.
And how deep do I
You'll
do I
feel,
go?
you'll actually scrape it, and you'll actually feel the grout pop out if it's going to pop out. This V-tool works pretty good on the grout that is solid. But I think when the grout is loose, like this part right here, I want to try this tool because it gets down deeper. See, I can remove all those loose chips. You don't want to leave those in there. All right, I think what we need to do is vacuum up all this old grout, see if we've missed any spots, but I think we're in pretty good shape.
Okay.
All right, now that we've vacuumed up all the old grout, we're going to wash the floor down with a mixture of vinegar and water. So I want to lightly wash that, wring it out. We'll just wipe it down. The mixture is 1 part water and 1 part white vinegar. Now that the vinegar solution is dry, we're simply going to rinse the floor with plain warm water. Now we're just about ready to grout the tile, but before we do that, I discovered a loose tile right here at the entrance. And that's loose because of this threshold right here. This is a saddle threshold. Part of it rests on the wood floor, the other part rests on the tile. So when you step on the threshold, the tile moves. So the first thing I want to do is remove the tile. I want to cut a thin shim and put it underneath the threshold. Alright, now I'm going to pry up the threshold with a hammer. Ooh, comes up pretty easy. Looks like they didn't even nail it. Okay, now before I put the shims in and threshold back, I want to glue that piece of tile in. So I mix up some fast-setting thin set. Put it on the back of the tile, butter it up. Now we just clean up the excess with a trowel and a wet rag. Now I'm going to place my shims in position. And now the threshold. Okay, now a couple of nails. Now we're ready to grout. Now I didn't mix up the grout with water. I actually used an acrylic additive. And this is an unsanded grout.
Why do you use unsanded?
Well, it's actually a finer grout, and because the joints in the tile are 1/8 of an inch or less, the fine grout will get down deep into those joints. I use an acrylic additive because it makes for a good bond, gives the grout some flexibility, and it will actually give it a little bit of sealer. Now we're all done with our hard rubber float. Now I want to wipe off the excess with a sponge and a little bit of water. The secret to a good grout job is let the grout set up long enough in the joint to become firm, but not too long so you can't get it off the floor. Well, what do you think?
It looks great. No more dingy grout.
I agree. It really pops nice. Now, tomorrow there'll be a little haze on the floor. Take a damp sponge or a towel and wipe the floor down, and it'll really shine.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your help.
This is my pleasure.
So it really did look great. New grout makes a huge difference.
Looked like a new floor.
It did. So when you prepped that room, when you were cleaning it, you used water and vinegar. What's the thought behind that?
Well, the water and vinegar solution acts like a mild acid, and it really cleans any residue off the floor, any soap or any powder.
Gotcha.
But you really have to be careful after you've washed off the floor to rinse off the vinegar and water solution, because the grout won't stick if you don't get it all off.
So make sure you get all that vinegar out of there.
Right.
Okay. So it was a small bathroom, and I understand why you guys used hand tools. But a guy like you, come on. No power tools, Tommy?
Oh, I got a few. Here's one right here. This is a rotary tool.
So this is made specifically for taking grout out of tile.
Right. This is a special bit to remove the grout. So when I fire it up, put the nubs on the line.
So there's the bit spinning and the nubs just riding along the grout line, and boy, the bit just cuts it right out of there.
Keeps the tool in a straight line.
Yeah. Boy, not too bad. Throws quite a bit of dust, but makes short work of it.
Right. Now, this tool is about $60. This is a tool that I have right here that's a multi-purpose tool. It can cut wood with it.
We've seen you use it for flush cutting wood before, and it basically oscillates, right?
That's right. This actually is a carborundum blade right here that's made to cut out the grout.
Let's
You
see
can
that guy work.
turn this on. It won't cut you. And it will grind out the grout.
So there's the blade oscillating back and forth, and in this case, you're just freehanding it through the grout line.
This follows the tile.
So So just as much dust, but it's not throwing it everywhere.
Right, but this is a $350 machine, but it'll do a lot of other things.
All right. So some simple lessons on regrouting your floor to the latest thinking in heating and cooling.
Absolutely.
Nice show, guys. Well, we'd love to hear from you, so keep your letters and your emails coming. And until next time, I'm Kevin O'Connor.
I'm Richard Thuy.
I'm Tom Silva.
And I'm Roger Cook.
For Ask This Old House.
Hey,
You believe he used hand tools?
What? I use hand tools a lot.
If you have a question about your house or a tip you'd like to share, please let us know. Visit our website, pbs.org, for expert advice, step-by-step videos, and much more. Next time on Ask This Old House. It's a brand new home. We're looking for some ideas to finish the basement.
I'm going to show you how to insulate this basement wall and get you prepped for drywall.